What's up everyone, it's a Knife Style here, and today I'm going to be doing an EDC update on the Protech SBR. So if you guys are not sure what an EDC update is, basically I make this video maybe a couple months after my initial review of this knife, and I really like EDC updates because I feel like they get rid of any buyer's justification in my initial review, and I just think that I have a lot more experience with the knife, so I know a lot more about it. So anyway, let's get into the overall looks of this knife. I personally think that this knife looks really good. Little update, these Protech, this aluminum here does wear, like as you guys can see here. If you're carrying something in your pocket that just kind of loose and just kind of banging around, it will wear out the sides like you have seen here. This pocket clip just got scratched up a little bit. That doesn't really bother me all that much. I think it actually kind of gives it a cool worn look, but people who are trying to keep that resale value or something like that, just keep that in mind. You're probably not going to want to carry this at all if you're really trying to save the resale value, but I don't care about that. I think that knives bring me more joy from them when I actually use them and carry them, and not when I'm just trying to save them to make more money on them. But anyway, I really like this blade. I just think the contrast with the lighter stone, more polished stonewash on the flat here, with the more dull and dark stonewash on the primary grind here, I think that just looks really, really nice. So this is a less George design, and his designs really just speak to me. It's got this iconic jimping here. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but it's fine. It works good, and it doesn't mind me. But the blade shapes on his designs are just so simple and so good. I'll get into that a little bit more, and it's just very simple ergonomic lines, so I like that. So I did have an experience with Protech's warranty. There will be a video linked in the top right now of my warranty experience. It was overall good. I liked it. I emailed them. They got back to me quick. I shipped it pretty fast, and it was overall about a 3-week turnaround. I did not have to pay the $15 shipping on the way back because this was a fairly new knife. I got it in early April, and so they were nice enough not to let me to do that. I don't think that I should have to pay $15 shipping on the way back, because that'd be about $25 shipping for their knife that broke. But anyway, I broke the spring in it, and when I was closing it, I heard a loud pop, and then it didn't work anymore. And I could have just got a spring shipped back, but I wanted to try out their warranty, and I didn't really feel comfortable disassembling a Protech just because I didn't want to mess up my expensive automatic knife. But anyway, the fit and finish, like basically the fitment on a Protech is very nice. The tolerances are some of the best. Like, I think Protech's tolerances are kind of underrated. This is very tight in there. It was perfectly centered here. I'll show you guys that. It is very nicely centered. There is no lock rock. I might be able to wiggle out a little bit, but nothing really insane. There is a hint of side-to-side play here. I could tighten up the pivot, but this is a very small knife, and when I tighten up the pivot, this is kind of bad of me, but it kind of makes the action bad. Like right now, this action is pretty snappy, and I like it, and I want to keep it that way, and so that's just me. I think a snappy action on an auto is satisfying, and this little bit of blade play does not bother me at all. The Microtech LUDTs, if you guys don't know, always come with, or a lot of them come with a little bit of blade play, and I use that knife a lot, probably for more harder tasks than just general EDC, and the blade play hasn't bothered me at all, and so just a little bit of side to side isn't bad. My logic on it is if you can shake it like this and you hear side to side play, that is definitely way too much, and so you should tighten up your pivot if possible. But anyways, I'll stop talking about that. I'll just talk about this button lock. I think that it looks really good, just this locking mechanism. There is I believe that's a hardened stop pin there. I'm not entirely sure if that stop pin is hardened. I might be thinking about my Sabenza, but it is nice that there's a stop pin, so it's not just slamming into that aluminum. And this button, I really like the kind of acid etch finish on it, and it is a recessed button, and so that is good. And I've carried this, it's a very lightweight knife, so I've been carrying this in my PJ pants. I've been laying on the couch straight down on this knife, never has deployed on in my pocket, and so that has been a really cool thing. And I'll just show you guys, unless I push directly on this button, it won't open. Like, I'll have my finger, I'm pushing down about as hard as I can right over it, but it's not doing anything. And yeah, I have to push directly down on this for it to actually open. And so that's a very good thing. And that really gives me hope that automatics don't really need safeties in my opinion, unless the button is not recessed, and then it'll probably, yeah, a lot of people would prefer to have a safety on auto just for their just to make themselves feel better, but I don't really think that this knife needs it at all, and probably a lot of knives that have recessed buttons don't need it either. And so anyway, I really like this button and this locking mechanism. I just think that button locks are very strong, and I feel like people don't recognize them for that. I think that people just think they're simple liner locks, and I think that liner locks are underrated for their strength, especially titanium liner locks. But anyway, that's not what this knife is about for the blade of this knife. So I really like this blade shape, like I already said, but my only main issue with this blade is it's pretty thick behind the edge. The stock is decently thick for its size, and as you guys can see, there is a pretty big flat here in this saber ground blade. It just doesn't get very thin behind the edge. This is my second take of this video, and I originally measured 25 thousandths behind the edge, but yeah, I just measured 27 thousandths. 26 thousandths, yeah, so it's about 25 thousandths behind the edge, and that is just way too thick for this small of an EDC knife. A lot of people say this is a worker, this is a tank of a knife, and I'm not trying to argue. I believe that this knife can handle it, but I honestly don't really carry that many small knives for hard use. I don't really see the point. I think it's kind of contradicting itself, but a lot of people do, and I can't blame them for that. If I wanted to get a hard use Protech, they definitely have some options out there, and so I wouldn't suggest this knife for a hard use Protech, but if you want a small hard use knife, this could definitely hold up to it with that thick stock, a strong locking mechanism, and is very thick behind the edge. And so that is the most glaring issue with this knife, the thickness behind the edge. And so I have reached out to Transparent Knives trying to ask about a regrind. Haven't heard anything back, but I only sent that like a day ago, so I'm not trying to blame him or anything. But yeah, I'm trying to get this knife reground, and if I do, I think that this would probably become my definite favorite small knife. That's the main glaring issue with this knife, and so I think that if it got reground, it would be amazing. But anyway, this steel on this is S35VN, and Protech does not work with S35VN all that much, but I'm completely fine with it. I would have also been fine with 154CM or CPM 154. I don't really care. Those steels are all very good. They're all very easy or fairly easy to sharpen, hold a decent edge, and are overall a great steel. They're not going to rust on you unless you purposely try and make it. But anyway, I am fine with S35VN. I think it gets a little bit too much hate, which now that I think about it, I feel like I always say it gets so much hate, but then I never really see anybody hating on it. So anyway, I overall like the blade shape, like the blade steel, don't like the thickness behind the edge. I think that I really care about edge geometry, and this one, that's one of its most lacking qualities. But anyway, on to the carry of this knife. So, in my opinion, this is my opinion, but I'm going to make a statement. I think that Protech makes the best deep carry pocket clips out there. There is a little bit showing up out of your pocket, but they couldn't have really done that much. And I think that it looks kind of ugly when there's like a, do I have any examples around me? I don't. But when there's, oh yeah, kind of like this. This is a little bit, but when there's a deep carry pocket clip hanging out the end like that, that is just kind of ugly. Like on ZT's new slip joints, their extra deep carry pocket clip, or I think they did on their new tune detent system that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I need to stop rambling. I think that this is one of the best deep carry pocket clips, and a lot of people are probably screaming, what about the Spyderco wire clip? Spyderco wire clip is good, but I just personally think that this one works better, and this one is sitting on that smooth aluminum and still has good tension to it. Yeah, that's a very strong tension, but since it's on that smooth aluminum, it slides in good in and out of the pocket. Oh, sorry. And then these screws are recessed, which is also very nice. Once again, on the Spyderco wire clip, I think that it is a good clip, and it sits on this smooth part of the FRN, and this wire clip is one of the best ones out there. But sometimes for ergonomics, these 2 points here cause 2 hot spots on your hand, and so, but the Protech does not cause any hot spots at all. And so onto the ergos of this knife. The ergos are just amazing, and I really like them. And it goes to show that simple ergonomic lines just work very well. And there is one finger groove and then straight, and that's what I prefer. I would prefer no finger grooves, but 1, I'm fine with. 2, I think is pushing it a little bit. And these ergonomics, I can get all 4 fingers on this in a tight hammer grip. When I get to a saber grip, my pinky kind of wants to fall back into this area right here, but that still is very good. If I bear down in this grip right here, in the saber grip, I probably would eventually get a hot spot from that pocket clip, but I really don't feel it for light cutting. And when I'm in a hammer grip, I do not feel that at all, just because it goes into the meat of my hand. But anyway, this jimping right here, I think that is very well placed for a saber grip, and it feels really good. I'm usually not a fan of this kind of jimping, just these big little jimps, I guess you could call it. But in a hammer grip, my thumb would probably want to go there, or obviously right there. The jimping that I prefer, let me get this knife out of my pocket. I know, another Sabenza, just this really fine jimping right here. And what I like about this jimping is, like the Protech, in the saber grip right here, you do feel that jimping, and it does lock your hand in place. But in a normal hammer grip, you can put your thumb up there, which I really like. And so I'm probably more of a fan of fine jimping than these huge, just 3 or 4 divots in the knife. That's why I've kind of been drawn away from Medford for other reasons too. But anyway, they just have 3 huge jimps on some of their knives, and they're just also very sharp. So overall, this jimping is fine. I probably would have preferred no jimping at all, but you know, it works fine. And these ergonomics are very good for the hammer grip, saber grip, reverse grip is really good. And also this pinch grip is one of my favorite grips there is. I like to put, it's kind of a loose grip because you wouldn't do this in a hard use situation. But if I'm just cutting up a box or something, I put my middle finger here, and then I pinch it with my pointer finger and my thumb, and then I can go like this. I can do somewhat of a draw cut, and I can do a little bit of a push cut away from me. This is just one of my favorite grips, and I feel like it works very good with automatic knives because you don't have to worry about something like a thumb stud or a thumb hole, maybe a flipper tab in the way. I just think that it works very good. And if you want to, you can put your finger all the way to that tip there if you go by the bend rule, I guess. But I don't think that this knife would be the best for draw cuts just because it's not a Wharncliffe, but I still think that this pinch grip is one of my favorites for EDC uses. It's just really good. You do lose some blade shape with it, so if you don't want to lose blade shape, you can pinch grip it back here, and that's also very good. But anyway, ergonomics of this knife are really, really good, especially for how small it is. A lot of people say that it's a 3-finger knife, and I can see that because my hands aren't the biggest, but there's a lanyard hole here if you want to attach a lanyard to it. I tried to just see if I could put some 550 paracord through there, but I kind of struggled with it. The ends of my paracord was kind of frayed, so that could be the problem. But I don't know, it might be a little bit hard to wiggle some things in there. Maybe if you had some more like firm, like leather string, I guess you could say, and that would probably work. But yeah, this lanyard hole I also think is really good just because it looks like the jimping, and it also functions as a lanyard hole. And once again, looking at this knife from the show side, there is no lanyard hole screws or I mean there is a pivot screw, but you kind of need that. There's just no glaring things that make you pop, things that pop out that aren't really a handle or a blade or a opening mechanism. So I think I think that that's really cool, and I just really think that Protech knives look really nice. A lot of people don't like the seam here, but you know, that seam, I cannot feel a transition at all between that, and so that's a good thing. And the thing that kind of confuses me about integral knives is it just looks like this. There's just no seam, and I get it. The machining, I can appreciate the quality and work that goes into them, but I think that usually making an integral knife increases the price by a whole lot. So while a lot of work does go into it, I don't know if that work is really worth it because all it does is make disassembly a little bit more difficult, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. The deployment of this knife and just the overall action, I think is really good. Like, as you guys can see, just a very snappy Protech action. I get kind of tired of hearing, oh, it feels like a Protech, but this is the only Protech I've ever had. But anyway, this action is good. Closing it, a lot of people complain about closing automatic knives. I have no problem there. I can close it two-handed and also one-handed, and it works fine. I do not fidget with my automatic knives because they aren't very fun to fidget with. Yes, they're fun to deploy, but they're not that fun to close. But I think that this knife has really just opened my eyes that I don't care all that much about some insane drop shut action. Like, it doesn't really bother me all that much. Just carrying this knife as a primary and not having any other fidget knives with me, it really just made me realize that, oh, I can't crave a drop shut action on every knife I own. And as long as it has a reliable deployment and a fairly easy to close system, it works for me. And so that's a good thing. So just a touch on the attention to detail, I guess you could say, is I've already touched on this before, but you know, I really like how it is just clean and simple, like right here on the show side scale. I like that lanyard hole there. I think that this pocket clip is one of the best. And yeah, no real other issues that I guess I could say with this knife. This jimping here is not rough at all. I cannot even, if I bear down on that, I can't even really rough up my fingers, so that's not a problem for me at all. Anyway, for the value, this knife runs, I kind of waited to say this, probably should have said it earlier. I think it's around 180 to 200. Protech is a smaller company, so they aren't just like producing a ton of different knives. Like, you can't always get the stock variant whenever you want. You kind of got to wait. It's kind of like with Hinder. You can't just be like, okay, I want a Protech SBR and a satin blade and then a handle with the grip texture in it, something like that. You can't just say that and just immediately go buy one. It's not like that. But they do usually have SBRs in stock, but I don't know if you'll get this exact one. So $180, I think that is a fair price, especially after using their warranty. That really shows that I can trust this. So I'd honestly be willing to pay $50 extra for a company with a good warranty, or even more money extra for a company with a great warranty. Like Chris Reeve, a lot of people say they're $100 too overpriced. I think that $100 is worth it when you look at their warranty. And just basically the fact that, I know I always, you know, put a Chris Reeve in every video I show, but oh, there's a dog hair on it. But anyway, just for the fact that I could get this knife completely scratched up and then send it into them, and they would completely reblast these handles and make it pretty much good as new. And so I just think that a lot of people say American made knives are overpriced because they're like, oh, I can get a Civivi for $40 and it has better action, a slicier blade, better ergonomics for my hand, all this stuff. But then it's like, I would rather support an American-made company, and I would rather have a good warranty to back up my purchase. I'd be willing to pay extra for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just a quick, my main takeaways. The blade geometry, I wish it was a lot better, but I'm looking for a regrind. These ergonomics are super good. Some of my favorite ergonomics ever. And just this design is really nice. The carry of this knife is amazing. One of my favorite knives to carry out of my collection. Just small, it's lightweight, it's got a great clip, and the action is overall snappy and solid. I really, really do enjoy this knife. Once again, my only main problem is the edge geometry of it. Because an example, if you're still watching, like I was cutting cardboard and I was cutting it down, and this knife, like I said, this was the like brand new fresh edge from Protech. It started binding on me. Like the cardboard wasn't just cutting through, it was just kind of bending up around the blade. And so that just really shows that this knife, although it's sharp on paper, it's not very performance oriented when it's 26 thousandths beyond the edge. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are closing in on 500 subs where I'll be giving away these two knives. So if you want to get to that earlier, please hit that subscribe button. But that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you guys in the next one.